Hi, everyone, and welcome to Beautiful Days Journeys of Hope, a live stream series featuring refugees talking about what's important to them. My name is Rebecca Garland, and I work at Beautiful Day, a social enterprise that runs a gourmet granola and coffee business to provide job training for refugees. I'm here tonight with special guest Chance Boas, a refugee originally from East Africa who wants to talk about his love for music. Chance is the founder of Providence World Music, a nonprofit organization committed to preserving and promoting music with African roots. Hi, Chance.
Hi, Rebecca. How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here tonight.
Wonderful.
Can you just begin maybe by telling us a little bit about where you're from?
Yeah, I was born in Katumba refugee camp. That's in Tanzania. And my family are originally from Burundi. It's Eastern Central Africa, Africa Great Lakes. Yeah, I moved here in 2008, uh, with my mom and my brothers. Uh, yeah, so prior to that, I grew up in Tabira refugee camp. That's where I spent most of my childhood before coming to United States.
So you can see about this map if you're a little uncertain about the geography of Africa, where Chance is from. This area in purple is known as East Africa, and it includes the Democratic Republic of Congo. And you can see that there's Tanzania at the bottom on the right hand side, and that's where you were born, correct?
Right. So I was born on a I would say, was it a Western Central? I grew up in Western side of Tanzania. So for most people might know Jen Goodall, who's a primatologist. So she's based in Gombe National Park, where she's been studying like chimpanzee. So I grew up in the west side next to the to the Gombe National Park.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
So
yeah.
you were very close to where Jane Goodall did her work.
Yes, yes, very not like yeah, very close. It's where also David Stanley and David Livingstone and Stanley made, and they came up with that word, Dr. Livingstone, I presume, and that's yeah. So that's where I spent most of my childhood in Tabila camp.
Mhm. So you can see, for those people viewing tonight, you can see Tanzania and the Mtabila camp would be somewhere around in here, correct?
Yeah, so just below the Burundi is in red, so it will be by Lake Tanganyika. You know the big uh, region. The blue is Lake Victoria, and then you have the green is Tanzania. So if you look to the right side, on my side is Indian Ocean. So I was on the west side, which is like another blue line that goes below the red, and that's Lake Tanganyika. So I was pretty much close to that.
Great.
Yeah.
Um, and we know that you um, spent, if you were 18 when you arrived in the US and you were born in a refugee camp in Tanzania, that means you spent 18 years in refugee camps. Is it common for people to spend so many years in refugee camps?
Oh my goodness, that's like a half my life. I didn't think about that. Yeah, it's very common at the time. I mean, there's still people who still live in Namtabira, but they live in Nyarugusu refugee camp. They weren't as lucky as we were at the time, but they're still waiting for their own resettlement processes. But it's Burundi had been in a civil war for many years, and yeah, so some of our parents.
Paula, I'm not sure, but I can't see Chance anymore. It looks like we've lost the connection. I'm not sure whether we can continue this interview with Chance frozen like this. For the audience watching, we're just waiting for a minute to see if we can get Chance back again. I think that I'm going to just continue the conversation that he was having about the refugee camps and spending so many years, 18 of them, in a refugee camp, where it's actually, these camps were designed for people to stay for very short periods of time while they are applying for asylum in other countries around the world. So they apply through the Red Cross or through the state departments of different countries to be accepted into other countries so that they can go and live in other places and resume their lives and rebuild their lives in a new country. But unfortunately, there are so many people in refugee camps, and the crisis is so great that many people end up waiting, like Chance did, for 18 years to finally be accepted into a country. There are about 27 million people in the world today who are living in refugee camps. So it's a big, big problem how to resettle these people, how to enable them to go and live in other countries and be able to support themselves and rebuild their lives. It's quite a traumatic experience for people when they leave the refugee camp and move to a strange new country, trying to adjust, trying to find work, trying to learn the language, trying to understand the new culture. But at least once people are resettled in another country, they can begin to assimilate, begin to integrate, begin to rebuild. But sitting in refugee camps, basically being warehoused there, just waiting for years and years, can be a really difficult thing for people. One of the special things about Beautiful Day is that we focus on helping refugees who've come to the United States to be able to find jobs, prepare for work. Many people who come to the United States have never worked in a Western culture, or they may have worked as farmers, they may have worked in agrarian communities, and they may not have the kind of transferable skills that enable them to transition easily into a new country. So Beautiful Day does offer something very special. We provide transitional work for people coming to the United States, and they make granola and they make coffee and they learn how to speak English within a meaningful context. And it's not that people are going to become granola and coffee makers here in the United States, but at least they're going to gain work experience. They're going to meet colleagues, and they gain the self-respect and dignity that comes with meaningful work that enables them to support their families. One of the special things about Beautiful Day is that they're enabling people to sell granola and coffee at farmers markets, which is quite a special thing, because if you want to sell your granola, you have to talk to people. And that's one of the really challenging things. If for any of our viewers, you've ever lived in a foreign country, you know that it can be a little intimidating talking in a foreign language to people who speak the language natively. So there you are, living in a country, just learning the language, just learning the culture, and suddenly you have to interact with the public. You have to sell granola. You have to sell coffee. You have to talk to people who come up to the table at a farmer's market and ask you questions about granola, ask you questions about yourself, ask you questions about where you're from. You have to basically sell your product. And then you have to make change. People give you money. You have to figure that out. You have to have a table that looks attractive. You have to really take pride in building a really nice space in the farmer's market. And just that interacting with the public can help to build confidence in people. And it can also enable people to develop contacts with people that become very important. We have one trainee who interacted every week with the same customer that came back to his table every single week to buy granola. And it turned out that that person was the owner of the Providence Journal, the newspaper in Providence, Rhode Island. And he ended up hiring our trainee, and he ended up working there, and he's still working there today. So we also enable people to make very important contacts, enable people to meet people who maybe have never knowingly met a refugee before in their lives. Most Americans never really have. We're a big country, and most of us aren't really aware when we're meeting and talking to a refugee. And so one of the really important things that Beautiful Day does is to enable people who are native born Americans to interact, perhaps for the first time, with a refugee. So part of our mission is simply to provide a place where refugees and native born American people can interact, develop relationships, and develop a common understanding of each other. So we work really hard to promote welcoming communities, one relationship at a time. And Chance, you're back.
Yeah, sorry about that. Probably some issue can't really figure out what happened, but yeah, definitely. I really agree with what you're saying. You know, a lot of there's a misconception, or people are not aware how big the refugee community is in Rhode Island, and I think that this kind of program really I was hoping that maybe for me coming here, it might spark that conversation where people might be able to look in the community and see that it's a melting pot and people from diverse background do come here, and this kind of platform really help refugees, other people who come from different circumstances, um, uh, different places to feel welcome and maybe reach their full potential by just their humbleness of being
Yeah,
feeling that they are welcome in a new country, that they might not even be able to speak the same language, but
right.
still be able to be uh, uh, just shown the way, just welcoming your neighbor. It's always a good, it's part of the being a civil citizen, I should say.
You came here with quite a musical background. What was it like when you first arrived here?
Yeah, so so growing up in Tanzania, Tanzania has more than like 126 tribes, and all those tribes there was like a radio programs that showcase different tribe music from different region, different province, different place. So those programs really did play a huge role in my music development. I grew up near the Burundi drummers. There were always loyal drummer of Burundi around. They really have a cultural significance that you can recognize them as a world heritage tradition that should be preserved. So that's like the community that I grew up in. Also, there was I listened to music from my country, Burundi, as well, Congo music as well. So it was always a melting pot of music. And I also, growing up in the church, you play music and also write music for the church. And yeah, I also did music in school when I was in a camp. So yeah, definitely like my music interest started at very young age.
So, Paula, can you bring us back? Can you take the slide down so that our audience can see us now instead of the pictures? Thank you. So, um, Chance, what was it like when you came here? You were sort of steeped in this musical tradition from your church, and you were talking about the royal drummers that are a UNESCO heritage. They're considered so historic and so special that
Mhm.
UNESCO has acknowledged them as being really important. And you came here, and what did you find?
Yeah, so like I came here and I realized, I was pretty much at a place where I can't really see a Burundian community. It felt a little bit, when you come to a new country, you want to fit in, you want to figure out your ways in out in your ways in a new land, but then you also need a sense of identity, a sense of who you are, so you can actually find the path that is righteous for you. But being removed, it was a sense of like, oh wow, now I am completely in a new country, and the music that always surround me is not there. So it was a little bit shocking, but I always knew that there was at some point a Burundian community that had arrived here at the same time we did. So what we did was we got together and we started Burundi traditional drama called Inzira Gukanya. I was one of the earliest member of that group, and that was in 2009. So I had a live in 2008. So in 2009, we started playing music. We play at Brown University. We play at some festival downtown. So just it was really a moving experience to be part of that, and that really influenced my upbringing in the country. It really helped me find my own community and really embrace my continue to embrace my culture.
So you played the royal drums we just saw those slides of. You actually played those drums. Is that
Right. Yes, yeah, I do
Paula,
play.
can you show us the drumming again, just so that our audience can see, especially the one with the drums on people's heads. I think that's so incredible. Can you show the
Yeah,
previous one? That one.
yeah,
Can you
yeah, yeah, I
How
mean,
do you put those drums on your head? How do you keep those drums from falling off your head?
I
That's what I
mean,
wonder.
there gotta be some technicality, but you create a like some there is balance involved as well. Also, like for practicing for many years, you become more comfortable with it. But I would say there's I don't know if you can see there's a wrap on the screen, and it's kind of like a head wrap that
Yes.
you put on top of your head, and then you
Yeah.
attach, and then there you are able to balance the drum. Yeah, it's that it's I haven't find out what that means in terms of like cultural relevance, but the everything about the drum is so important in the Burundi culture. The drum signify is known as ingoma, which is stand for like a throne. So you can really, when you see a Burundi drum, it's also a synonym to the Burundi royal dynasty that existed in Burundi for thousand years, um, for centuries per se.
And
Uh,
where did you get your drums here in the US? Did you have to make them?
no, we had to work with different organization, and we got the drum from Burundi. They were ordered from Burundi.
Oh, I see. Paula, can we see the next slide? This slide shows that people, once they get to where they're going, they take the drums off their heads, and then play them. But they're playing them even with them on their heads. So you're walking, you're dancing, you're chanting, and you've
Yeah.
got these drums on your head, and you're actually beating those drums,
Yeah.
while they're on your head, which
Yeah.
to me is pretty amazing. And then you take the drums off, and then there's more dancing and more chanting. And I assume you're telling stories, or um, I'm not sure, but
Yeah, it's quite an entrance, you come in with a drum on your head and you play a certain rhythm. It's really like it will probably it's kind of like a drum orchestra in a sense, but each the dance and the rhythm or the music used to symbolize something. It could be oral storytelling where you you can tell a story about a king, a story about an event, a story about a place. It's also like you can see the similarity in most music, African music, where you have this call and response heritage that is embedded in African indigenous music. There is also the idea of these are talking drums, so uh, they can send a message, and few people do understand that message. I think you have to be some sort of a master player, or like at the time of king, the king would send a message using the drum about a victory, about calling people to gather at the palace. There's a lot of things that these are like
yeah.
drums that are used in uh, different. They are very, as UNESCO said, that a very significant cultural heritage,
Mm.
and it's also intangible heritage as well. So
And
yeah,
it sounds like it's a heritage that is becoming more and more rare, more
right,
defined,
yeah,
especially in the US. Um,
yeah,
the fact
yeah.
that you started a group, to keep this tradition going is pretty special.
Right, right. So that was the whole point. It was mostly like we were trying, I think at the time, there's a sense of like finding something to do after school. There's a sense of finding a community, Burundian community, where as a young person you can go learn about Burundi, or Burundi heritage, Burundi culture, but also the heritage itself is intangible in a sense that um, the young with what's going on around the world, it's hard for the young generation to actually see the significant impact of learning about drums, where young people more likely to want to learn about new music, which is so that's also another issue with that, and with
Keeping the music alive.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Paula, can
And
you show us the next slide? Can you
oh
tell
yeah.
us about this?
Yeah, so that should be Tolobeka. He's a legend Inanga player. Inanga is also another lesser known genre in terms of like as compared to the Burundi loyal drama. Most of Burundi people understand the loyal drama and its impact, but with the Inanga music, it's actually very it's intangible in a sense that a lot of people have heard Inanga, but there is a lack of master players. A lot of master player of Inanga, they in the late 60s, 70s, 80s. So that and there isn't really any program that is helping young people revive this long tradition. So my like, and you can see my grandparents played the inanga, but I didn't get to learn how to play this music. Is usually it goes from parents to it goes, how do you say, generation to generation. That's the word. But
Yeah.
because most of our childhood we spent in foreign countries, we didn't get a chance to sit down with our parents and our grandparents and learn how to play this instrument. So that also contributes to this heritage uh, going through a phase, I'll say, like almost annihilation. But
Mm,
um, that's what inspires me to start the Providence World Music. It's just that sense of that these traditions should be preserved for future generation, should be celebrated for future generation as well.
great. Paula, can you show the next slide? This is a slide of your website, Providence World
Yeah,
Music, which you founded, and you can see
yeah.
at the bottom there's the link there if you want to look at that and go to the website yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about Providence World Music and what you're hoping to accomplish through this nonprofit?
Yeah, so Providence World Music really, as I say earlier, it was born from that idea of coming to United States and you trying to find a place where you can go learn about your heritage through music, dance, and art. And those places, they're not very common in the African community. So we like we had to struggle getting the drums. How do you get drums? We and like then you need to find a master drummer. Or like in this case, we are trying to figure out how do we bring a master inanga player so he can teach us how to learn inanga and reconnected ourselves with our own heritage before it's it disappear from existence. So
Mm,
the Providence Wood music is all about really celebrating and preserving and promoting indigenous African music from Africa to uh, to other continent and also like other genre that overlooked. So what we do every year is that we host traditional live music concerts. Last year we had 12 concerts where we featured different artists from the Africa and the Africa diaspora. I think the gentleman over here is Molina. He's Ivan Molina. He's Afro-Cuban, so he was teaching us about the importance of conga in the in the Afro-Cuban community. So that was a very and connecting that with the African drums, you can see a lot of similarity, and also like bringing this music and give it a space, that it also help raise awareness about it, and maybe other people might find that this music really can be uh, played at their stage, like that are existence here, or maybe help the state see these artists as also uh, artists and maybe increase the diversity in music and also like one of the most important thing is that most of these artists are Rhode Islander. So I think going back to Beautiful Days, like, you trying to bring awareness about refugees. In these cases, it's also bringing refugees music to the public so other Rhode Islander can actually enjoy and maybe connect with the neighbors on a just share stories and share music, share love, and just make it Rhode Island a melting pot as is.
that's wonderful. And
Yeah.
we're going to need to wind up now, but I do want everybody to note that Chance is hosting through the Providence World Music series of concerts at 60 Westminster Street in
Yeah.
downtown Providence that are going to be starting on Saturday, May 8th from 2 to
Yes.
4. And every Saturday, he and his groups, different groups, I understand, are
Yeah.
going to be there. So we are going to need to wind up now, but I do want to thank you all for joining us tonight for another Journeys of Hope live stream interview. And we hope you enjoyed the program. And if you'd like to keep up with what's happening at Beautiful Day, please sign up for our newsletter on our website at beautifuldayri.org. And you can also support our work with refugees by making a donation or by buying our granola and coffee. And we thank you again for attending this live stream program, and we wish you a good night. So thank you so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.